world, actually.
So let me ask you this question, Dr. Watkins. What do you think it will take for Black people to become an economic gang? Like, so these countries are doing it, and they're getting together. Not saying that we, our country, but, even cultures are doing it, right? You have cultures, you have ethnic groups who are economic gangs. What do you think it will take for us to be an economic gang? Because it seems like, the whole idea of buying Black, people, it's like a fad in the community instead of something that we culturally do, like something that is embedded to our culture. It's like something happens, we get mad, Dr. Watkins, and we're like, we're going to start buying Black. And then things die down and we go right back to that Asian dry cleaners. We go right back to the nail salons and the hair salons when things die down. Then another incident happened. The Arab smacked somebody at the gas station, right? And then we not going, we not going. So when will it get to a point, Dr. Watkins, when we will become an economic gang, when we will get on code? What is that going to take? And I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm just going to let you say it. What is it going to take, Dr. Watkins?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I don't really know. I cannot at this point visualize a day where everybody gets on the same page and the same code, because as Black people, I think we're very diverse and very different. So I think all of us being on the same page on something that big, it's the same as having all white people on the same page. White people, one area where they tend to be on code is when it comes to kind of oppressing Black people. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that. They tend to all sort of agree that Black people generally are sort of the disliked or the untouchables of our society, right? So they're on code when it comes to that. But in terms of, if you look at the way a Democrat might fight a Republican, they're not on the same page. And that's going to ultimately, I think, tear the country down, because we value heterogeneity, meaning differences, a lot more than we consider homogeneity, where we're the same. The Chinese are very much into homogeneity. They want everybody kind of on the same page, moving in lockstep. And that minimizes individual freedom, but it maximizes group strength. There's it's sort of ingrained in them from a very early age. I taught finance in China, and I remember noticing how the students would just move together as a unit. It wasn't no like, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? Like, so the way you see a rapper trying to draw attention on himself, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. They look down on that in China. They make fun of you if you act that way, right? So again, not to say one culture is better than the other, but that culture lends itself a lot more to group-based unity than a culture where everybody's so focused on their individual liberties that they forget that there is something more important than themselves, starting with your family.
Absolutely.
How many people do you know that are married or in a family where they put the needs of the family and the children ahead of the needs for themselves? You'll hear people say it all the time. Well, I had to leave because I got to do what's best for me, and it's about me and me and I and me.
Very Eurocentric way of thinking. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that letting go of some of that Eurocentric individualism, I found that has been a key to any success that I've had. I know that when I'm in this house with my wife and my children, it ain't about me all the time. Sure, I'm going to get my turn, but it's about those kids first. It's about my wife. It's about this unit, this family. And then there's something left over for me, right? I can't put me first, right? And she does. Fortunately, she agrees. So I think that in terms of community-wide, us disconnecting ourselves, or almost going back to your term, de-dollarizing ourselves, meaning disconnecting from the systems just enough to have our own systems that make us strong and capable. I think it's going to be up to the leadership. Fortunately, we don't need everybody on the same page. We don't need every person in the community thinking the same way. What I have found, studies have shown that 70% of all people follow the crowd, even if the crowd is wrong. Literally. So there's a majority of people who are incapable of rising above what they consider to be the culture. And we know it. We know about the culture. When BET says this is the culture, it's going to come with a lot of twerking, a lot of Black people getting shot, a lot of drug use, disrespecting women, throwing your money away, being as ignorant as possible, right? So there's a lot of people that can't really rise above that culture. So I think, fortunately, if you take those people who can think outside of the culture, that 30% that are like, you know what, something ain't right about this. I don't want my child acting like Cardi B when she's 7 years old. I don't want my son out here thugging in the street. I'm thinking that that's cool. I don't want my daughter trying to date a thug. I don't want my son trying to marry a hoe. Right. I don't want. Right. So you got those people out there. And so what my job is I'm not so good at being a bridge builder. I'm more of a mobilizer. I believe that one way we can contribute is by taking that people in that 30% and saying, okay, let's really make sure you're at your best. You're committed to the ideas that you inherently know are true and accurate, and that you're training this to your children, like a training camp, intentionally getting them prepared to fight these battles they're going to have to fight. Because what happens is that the children who are the best prepared are going to be the leaders of the next generation. They're going to be the millionaires. They're going to be the billionaires. They're going to be the bosses. They're going to be the owners. They're going to be the landlords. They're going to be the leaders. They're going to be all these things, right? So if you're positioning those children of that top 30% to lead, and they lead ethically and they lead with the community in mind, right? Like, so for example, I'm not just training my son, your brilliant young son, right? We're not just training him to go and become another guy with a bachelor's degree and a good job. That's nice. We're training him to become the head of an organization.
That's right.
Where he can create 500 jobs, 1,000 jobs.
That's right.
So then what happens is, economically speaking, when you have people that are kind of lower on that need scale, people that just aren't really thinking about the big ideas, they're just thinking, okay, how am I going to eat today? Well, if your son is running $1 billion company that can create thousands of jobs and they go work for him, then he inherently gains a lot of influence and power without having to go beg for that, without having to convince people of anything, right? He's a powerful black man. The people around him are powerful. They're running this organization. They're doing the right things. They're creating jobs for people. People naturally follow people that are in an empowered leadership position.
That's
A lot of black leaders can't get the voice or can't get their voice into the ear of the community because they don't have a lot of institutional power. You know, they're not sitting on, you know, millions of dollars. They're not sitting at the head of massive organizations that they can really transform a community. Even your rappers that are loud and they do the most talking, they get on the cover of Forbes and all that. Even Diddy, love Diddy. Don't get me wrong. But Diddy, you know, to be a billionaire, I'm sitting there thinking, well, how many thousands of jobs did you create? You know, did you build factories in your old community? Jay-Z,
Come on.
If I go to Marcy Projects, Jay-Z, am I going to find 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people whose lives have been transformed because you went back there and you created something that was broad and sustainable? You know, and so it's nothing against them, no disrespect to them, but it's a shift in the mindset, right? So you need different and better leaders, and those leaders have to think in a way that scales, right? So with your son, for example, being good with math and science, when I see him, I see a black version of what Elon Musk is.
Come on.
Let me tell you about Elon. Let's just talk about that as a template, not to put a white man on a
Yeah.
pedestal.
No.
Let's talk about power, right? Elon Musk is probably one of the most dangerous human beings on the entire planet. One thing that Elon Musk did, I did not know this, in the Ukraine war, the Ukrainians were going to do a sneak attack on the Russian fleet. Musk apparently became concerned that the Russians were going to respond with nuclear weapons. So you know what he was able to do? He hit a couple buttons and shut down all the satellite systems in that area, so the military couldn't communicate with each other, and they had to call off the attack.
See, Dr. Watkins, and people wonder why Dr. Ma'at pushes STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, art, and I always say that A stands for art and agriculture and mathematics, right? Technology, science, engineering, mathematics, technology, being producers of technology. You understand? Because when you're producers of technology or you have power over the technology, you can do stuff like that. Right. I laugh at folks, and I love my pro-black community. Shout out to my pro-black community. But we're going to nation build. I said, okay, we nation build. You're not going to nation build anything without STEM, first and foremost, or STEAM, first and foremost. And you're not even going to protect what you built if you built something without it. Where are your communication systems? Where are your satellites? Where's any of this stuff? You gotta, if we're serious about building a B1 nation, Dr. Watkins, we gotta be serious about STEAM education. Who's growing your food? What technology are you using to grow your food, right? What technology are you using to communicate? So we gotta be able to build and defend, build and protect. And so and have power over it. So you saw what he did. He shut down the daggone communication system. So black folks running around here, man, I'm a nation building. You buying all the systems and everything from white folks. And when something happens, they just hit a button, boop, shut you down.